I don't have to discredit you.
But that's what
You've
you told me.
discredited yourself.
You told me that.
Leslie, you've discredited yourself. When you say that you're not going to cover Biden, you're going to ask him what flavor ice cream he has, okay?
That's not
Instead
me.
of why did Hunter get $3.5 million from Moscow? Instead of why is an energy company paying your son $183,000 a month or whatever they're paying him, and he has no experience in energy. You know, you discredit yourself. I don't have to discredit you.
All right, so let me play this Trump video of him having an interview. And I believe in this interview, they're not allowed to discuss the things with Hunter Biden. And they're talking about why the media is so unbelievable right now. It lacks trust from the audience right now. So hold on, let me oh, Trump's policies, yeah, with Alyssa. Yeah, all right, I'm glad that you remind me. So Trump's policies so that lady Alyssa, she was saying that she agrees with Trump's, like 70% of Trump's policies. And I'm sitting here like, yo, that's to agree with anybody on 70% of something is a lot. But this is the world that we live in, where you can agree with somebody. And this is to the point that I think I've made, and this has come up in a lot of the conversation with my family and a lot of these we've done a couple different exercises where we've put out, let's say we've listed 10 topics on how Republicans feel, 10 topics on how Democrats feel. And people that I've talked to that have voted Democrat their entire lives and never have voted Republican, the people that I'm talking with, they overwhelmingly agree that they have more things aligning with with the Republicans than the Democrats. When I write the topics out on a piece of paper, we go over it and we say, this is the Republican position, this is the Democratic position. People that have voted Democrats their entire lives never voted Republican for anything, whether it's assemblyman, your local mayor, your local whatever, to the president, never voted Republican. They will agree on most of the Republican platform and the things that they stand for, but they will still vote Democrat. And that's a perfect example of it. Here she is saying that she agreed with 70% of the stuff that Trump said, but it's the other stuff. Oh, I don't like how he talks to people. I don't like how this, he did this. He did Central Park 5. He put out abortion, right? You can't have a show without talking about abortion, right? All of these different things. It's like, how do you still, that's when all the Democrats come out and say that Latino men, black men, and all these other, they're voting against their interest. When we say they're voting against their interest, why? No, Alyssa is voting against her interest. All these Democrats that continue to vote Democrat, even though they actually align with more Republican values, you're voting against your interest. You're voting against your interest. And I can kind of understand it from a young woman's perspective who's scared because in case she gets pregnant and she's living in a state where she can't have an abortion. I understand growing up in this culture that we live in where people just have, sexual relationships. That's what we grew up in more freely than at other times. I can understand why a young woman may be a little bit nervous about that. However, I don't understand when people over 50 are still standing, like what are y'all standing on? Your mindsets are not the same as on abortion. Your perspective is not the same as it was on abortion when you were in your teens, 20s, and 30s. So if your position has changed on that, then what else are you still rocking with the Democrats over? like really, what do you vote for the Democrats for? What about their policies are better than the Republicans? What about their values? If all your principles and values mainly lean in a conservative way, what are you voting Democrat for? So I don't know. Uncle Brother wrote, no, I'm not okay with anything Biden has done. The pardon is just the last nail in the coffin, literally. I'm loving this total meltdown on the left. They need to wake the F up. I'm with you. I'm sitting back and enjoying it. This content I love it. I love it. It makes our jobs easier. I'll be totally honest. But let's look at this video that I was talking about with Trump.
This is 60 Minutes. And we can't put on things we can't verify.
You won't put it on because it's bad for Biden.
We can't put on things we can't verify.
Leslie.
You know what you told me.
Can you imagine being interviewed by somebody and you saying something about your opponent, and because the interviewer is saying that it can't be verified, or pretty much she doesn't agree with it, or maybe she doesn't know, she's now not putting it out there. Could you imagine interviewing somebody who's a specialist in a particular area? Let's say a scientist. You're a journalist. They're a scientist, right? So if a scientist says something that is different than you may not know everything that a scientist knows, right? You may not know it. So therefore, you're bringing the scientist on to provide something, a level of understanding that you're not aware of. That's why you're interviewing them, right? That's the whole point of it. So imagine somebody saying every time they can't verify what the scientist is saying. This sounds a lot like what Biden and Harris were doing with Mark Zuckerberg and his Meta platforms, but they were doing it intentionally, in my opinion. But imagine saying, like, imagine me interviewing somebody today and them telling me about different health things that I can do. Hey, you can incorporate sea moss and all this other stuff that somebody may not be aware of, and say, hey, we can't put that out there. We can't put that out because I don't know that yet. So therefore we can't put it out there. That's really what's going on in this interview. And people will say it's different, but let the person say what they say. And then you can put out something following up to that. Or you can say, we're not aware of this. This is just the person that we're interviewing saying that. And then do your due diligence. And the people can do their due diligence as well and make a decision based off of the research they've done and what they've received, what they're hearing on the show. This is just people trying to do exactly what Trump says, trying to look out for their own personal interest and not wanting to do anything that's not favorable to the candidate that they align with.
You know, this is 60 Minutes, and we can't put on things we can't verify.
You won't put it on because it's bad for Biden.
We can't
Look,
put on things we can't verify.
Lesley.
You know what you told me a long time ago when I asked why you keep saying fake in the media?
Yeah.
You said to me, I say that because I need to discredit you so that when you say negative things about me, no one will believe you.
I don't have to discredit you.
But that's what you told me.
You've discredited yourself.
You told me that.
Lesley, you've discredited yourself. When you say that you're not going to cover Biden, you're going to ask him what flavor ice cream he has, okay?
That's not
Instead
me.
of why did Hunter get $3.5 million from Moscow? Instead of why is an energy company paying your son $183,000 a month or whatever they're paying him, and he has no experience in energy. You know, you discredit yourself. I don't have to discredit you.
So this.
And Trump is 100% right. The same way that they were giving Kamala Harris these softball interviews, not asking anything real, you discredited yourself. You discredit yourself as a journalist when you will avoid certain questions based on whether or not this candidate is aligned with your agenda, is a part of your team. You're supposed to approach it from an objective standpoint and just ask questions. And if you have pushback, then push back on it in an interview. But to not cover something or to not allow something to be put out there, that's censorship. That's you trying to control a narrative. That's not you trying to put information out as a journalist and allow others to draw whatever conclusions that they want from it. That is you trying to manipulate people into thinking one way or another. And the American people showed that we're tired of that. This election showed that. And it's been happening. It's been brewing for a very long time. It's been brewing for a very long time where this distrust of the government, matter of fact, the only reason why it may not have happened even quicker, this same distrust in the government, in a lot of ways, you could say got Barack Obama elected. But it was just from a different angle. There's a lot of people who never voted who decided to vote for Barack Obama based on the fact that he was something different. Oh, we're going to vote for this black guy because we don't trust the government. We don't trust all these white folk that have been in these powerful positions. So therefore, we're going to vote Barack. He's going to do something for us. Right? Wasn't that the feeling? Don't lie. Acknowledge it. So a lot of times, this is the reason why we're voting. This is how we justify these things. But it depends on the candidate. So I already think that we were brewing and getting to this point where there was a lack of trust in government officials, lack of trust in mainstream media outlets. And now it's just coming to fruition. The chickens are just coming home to roost. That's what we're seeing right now. People are questioning certain things. That's why I think now is the time where the mainstream media could say everything they want about RFK Jr. They could say he's a loony. They could say he's this. They could say he's that. But you know who actually aligns with a lot of his thinking? The people. You know who's questioning a lot of the same stuff? The people. I don't know.
Story about Hunter and his laptop. Some repair shop found it. The source is Steve Bannon and Rudy Giuliani.
I don't know anything about that. I just know it's a laptop, and they haven't.
And you're making this one of the hottest, most important issues in your rallies.
It's a very important issue to find out whether or not a man's corrupt who's running for president, who's accepted money from China and from Ukraine and from Russia.
All these
I think
things
that's
have
an
been
important issue.
investigated and
It's incredible the way you can try and say this and sit there and.
Did you just hear what she said? All of these things have been investigated and discredited. The same things that he's talking about are the things that have now come out against Hunter Biden. She's saying that all of these things have been investigated and discredited. How can these things been investigated and discredited? The CIA was signing stuff. You had 50 CIA officials saying that the Hunter Biden laptop was made up, that there was no Hunter Biden laptop. Meanwhile, the government had the laptop, and I believe more than one laptop in their custody, and those are the things that they used in order to charge Hunter with some of the things that he was getting charged for, that he pled guilty for. So here you had CIA agents signing something, lying, blatantly just lying about it in order to push Biden into office, in order to make us look at him more favorably. And Lesley Stahl is here saying these things have been investigated and discredited. But see, she may have gotten away with that then. But now what's happening 4 years later? Now nobody's looking at 60 Minutes. Or let me say this. Their viewership has declined tremendously. People can go on and have, just like what I'm doing right now, just like what we're doing. We don't need to just listen to Joy Reid. Matter of fact, we'll still watch Joy Reid, see what she says. But now we have a platform to actually decipher the things that she's saying. See, Joy Reid was the person that could just get up there, and Rachel Maddow and all these people, Van Jones, they were the people that can get up and comment and use their influence to sway us one way or another. Now we have our own platforms to where we can do those things. So now we're the check and balance system to those people. See, they were just the ones checking other things and giving us a perspective to see the world on. Now we're checking them and holding them accountable and saying like, oh, you said this 4 years ago. Now you're saying this now. What's the difference? So let's keep going.
Look me in the eye and say it. He accepted money, his family, from Russia, from Ukraine, from China, and from other places. His brother, who didn't have experience, became a big builder in Iraq without experience. Take a look at what's going on, Lesley. And then you say that shouldn't be discussed.
I'm saying
it's the biggest scandal out there, Lesley, and you don't cover it.
Because it can't be verified.
You want to talk about
because it can't be verified. And this is when we got to always turn to Uncle Brother, who has experience working in the news. And Uncle Brother said exactly, the job of the news is to manage what people think, not to inform them with facts, to assist them with critically thinking for themselves. That's just is what it is. So think about it like this. Think about the generations that actually rely on the news. So Uncle Brother, think about your point that you just made. The job of the news is to manage what people think, not to inform them with facts, to assist them with critically thinking for themselves. Now let's think about the people in our families, the generations that came before us that actually rely on that news to give us facts. Now, to their credit, or to give them a little bit of empathy and sympathy on their end, a little grace, maybe the news was different 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 30 years ago. Maybe it was more fact-driven. However, you have to hold yourself accountable to recognizing the difference and recognizing where the news has gone. So we can't just sit back and just use that excuse to say, well, I still listen to the news and rely on them for information. This is how we're misled. This is how you have a group of people that voted for the Democrats for the last 30, 40, 50 years based on certain principles and values and see the Democratic Party do a total 180 on the very things that they used to stand on, but the people will just go and do the same 180 with them and just rationalize why they're now seeing things from a different perspective. Now, I'm okay with changing the way that you see things. I'm okay with those things. But what I'm not okay with and what I'm calling out is the fact that those Democrats, those people that have continued to vote the same way, they don't even acknowledge that they're changing. In their minds, we're still the same. But you're voting against your interests. You're voting against you agree with the Republicans, but you're voting Democrats because Donald Trump is, I just don't like him. Like, what? What are we talking about? This is not fifth grade class president. This is the person that we're putting responsible to run our country. And we're voting based on I just like their tone better. I like the joy that Kamala brings to the table. I just like Uncle Joe. When we vote for people and we put people in positions based on anything outside of merit, and merit in this situation would be voting for somebody instead of voting for them based on the principles and values that we agree on, voting for them based on, I just like them. That's where the merit comes into play. And that's why we're now in the position where you got so many people in the Democratic Party that it's almost like they're waking up. You know how you wake up in the middle of a situation, or this happened to me when I had a concussion. I woke up in the middle of a game. I was like, oh, where am I at? I feel like a lot of Democrats are now waking up like that. Yo, how did I get on this party where now I want wars. I want drag queens reading books to kids in schools. I want men playing sports against women. I want all these things. A lot of Democrats are waking up and in this position. They may not admit it, but that's the position that they're in. When they're by themselves and just with them and their thoughts, they know it. Deep down, you know it. You may not acknowledge it. You may not act on it, but you know it. Let's keep going. Mama Lay said, well said, Uncle Brother Truth. And Mama Lay, I saw that. I may play that post from Dr. Boyce maybe on the next one. I forget exactly what Dr. Boyce was saying. Maybe, matter of fact, should I put that one up? You let me know. If you think I should put it up, I'll share it with everybody. The system won't allow it to be aired. That's a fact. That's the world that we live in. That is the world that we live in.
Insignificant things.
I'm telling you.
Of course it can be verified. Excuse me, they found the laptop. Leslie.
Can't be verified.
What can't be verified?
The laptop.
Why do you say?
Dems are looking crazy right now. Democrats are looking crazy right now. Ew, it's Dak. Just want to thank you for checking out our video and visiting the OG Network. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure that you give us a like. And if you're looking to join a community of inspired individuals striving for purposeful abundance, subscribe. And if you're feeling real generous, share the video with some friends and family. All right, I'll see y'all soon. Ew.